Imagine a country where the passion for football is only matched by the volatility of its currency. Argentina is a land of paradox. It produces enough food for 400 million people, yet for decades, its own citizens watched their savings vanish. By December 2023, the nation was on the brink of a total collapse. Inflation had breached 211%. The world was waiting for a default, but instead it got an experiment. A radical, painful, and historical pivot that would change the rules of macroeconomics. To understand the scale of the crisis, look at this football. In Argentina, football is more than a game, it is a social anchor. In early 2023, the price of a professional ball or a stadium ticket was doubling every few months. This is what hyperinflation feels like. It's like a match where the goalposts keep moving while you're running. When money loses its function as a store of value, the entire social fabric begins to tear. People don't just lose money, they lose their sense of the future. Fixing this required more than a new coach. It required a total redesign of the stadium's economy. The foundation of the Milei administration was one word: fiscal. For a century, Argentina's elephant in the room was its chronic deficit. Spending money it didn't have and printing pesos to cover the gap. The 2024 strategy was nicknamed the chainsaw. It was a brutal reduction in government spending, cutting subsidies, and freezing non-essential projects. The goal was an iron anchor. By 2025, against all odds, the country achieved a primary fiscal surplus of 1.4% of GDP. In macroeconomics, this is the holy grail. If the government stops printing money to cover debt, the engine of inflation finally runs out of fuel. But a fiscal anchor isn't enough without a shield. The Central Bank of Argentina, which started 2024 with negative reserves, began a massive cleanup. By early 2026, foreign exchange reserves had recovered to over $30 billion. This stability allowed the government to begin lifting the cepo, the complex web of currency controls that had choked international trade for a decade. For the first time in years, the peso found its floor. Monthly inflation, which peaked at 25.5%, dropped to below 3% in early 2026. Still high by global standards, but for Argentina, it was the first deep breath in a generation. The world took notice. Wall Street and the IMF watched as Argentina's debt-to-GDP ratio plummeted from 155% to near 70%. The risk premium dropped, and the country became investable again. We are now seeing the rise of the real sector. Driven by energy exports from Vaca Muerta and a booming lithium industry, the GDP is projected to grow by 4.5% by the end of 2026. However, the cost has been high. The recession of 2024 left deep scars on the middle class, and the success of this macro experiment now depends on whether this stability can finally translate into higher real wages for the common worker. Argentina's journey from 2023 to 2026 is a case study in shock therapy. It proves that with absolute fiscal discipline, even the most broken economy can find its balance. But the game isn't over. As Argentina enters this new era of stability, the eyes of the world shift to other crisis zones. In our next episode, we will travel to Turkey to see a very different approach to a similar problem. For now, the scoreboard in Buenos Aires shows a hard-fought victory for macroeconomic sanity. Subscribe to follow the series. I'm your guide through the global economy.